Good day, everyone. My name is Mary Kathleen Amparo CABUGAO, and I am from MM7 BA70. So, our topic for today is all about the policies for price negotiations from the Chapter 5 Pricing Policy. I am the second reporter for this chapter, and so this is
So our topic for this video is all about the policies for price negotiations. What is price negotiation? Price negotiation is a common way for individuals to receive a discount off the posted price. This is also a negotiation between seller and buyer to determine the final price of goods. This is a stage where the sales process where customers are interested but not ready to buy because they want to have a better price or additional value for the product. So, this is a type of negotiation wherein the buyer negotiates or have an agreement with the seller to achieve the price that the buyer can afford and the seller can agree. What is price policies and price structure? Price structure and price policy are closely related but different. Price structure involves the tactics for pricing differently across customer segments, while price policy, on the other hand, defines the rules and conditions for price discounts or surcharges that could be applied into a segment. So, based on my research, I found out that there are four types of policies for price negotiations, and those are one price policy, single price policy, variable price policy or negotiation price policy, and lastly, best pricing policy. One price policy is a seller which is as in this policy, a seller will charge all similar types of buyers exactly the same price, and the terms of sale are also the same. In this policy, the customers already knew that negotiation is not possible. There will be no questions of negotiations or bargaining. In this policy, if discounts are offered, they give equal terms to all buyers. In this way, having a fair trade gains a customer's confidence. They cannot negotiate the price because the company won't allow it. So for the second policy is the single price policy. The single price policy is when the seller offers all goods as a single price. Sometimes, one price policy is confused with single price policy because we often think that having one price policy means that all of the goods are at the same price just because of the word one price. Single price policy is in other words, everything in stock costs the same. So for example, if I sell pens, rulers, notebooks, and highlighters and other school supplies, and I will sell them for only 20 pesos, so that means that those named goods will only be just 20 pesos each. And so, the third policy is variable price policy or negotiation price policy. So for this policy, the sellers this, the sellers sell the same products to different purchasers at different prices. The variable price policy adjusts the prices to different customers depending on their relative purchasing powers or bargaining ability. It's like the price depends on how the customer negotiates with the seller. For example, Arlene and Sarah. So Sarah buys 5 apples that cost 50 pesos supposedly. But Sarah tries to bargain and negotiate with the seller and asks for it to be sold just for 40 pesos. And because of her bright approach and that she has a nice personality and she gives genuine smiles, and also she has this good and nice attitude and has a friendly personality, The seller not only gives discount to Sarah, but also asks for ay, but also he gives Sarah another apple as an additional. On the other hand, Arline negotiates with the seller to buy 5 apples for 40 pesos, but she acted as if she doesn't have any intention in negotiating with Mr. With the seller because of the tone of her voice. So the seller was displeased by Miss Arlene's approach, so he decided not to give her discount and remain the price to 50 pesos for 5 apples. So for the last and not the least, policy for the price negotiation is the best pricing policy. So the best pricing policy is a fair and fixed policy in line with the normal market price and providing for normal margin of profit. Through efficient management, the best marketing mix, both manufacturers and dealers brings down the cost and improves the quality of services to the ultimate consumers. In this way, the consumers should be offered lower price and better quality under any normal pricing policy. There are other policies for price negotiations too, like policies should drive what price negotiation look like. Second, the only request for special pricing that should be considered are those involving situations not already covered by policy. Third, putting a no exceptions stake in the ground is the key to making pricing decisions that are profit enhancing. Fourth, four common tactics used by the purchasing professionals to disconnect price from value. Fifth, commoditizing the offer. It is to refuse to discuss what differentiates the offer. Sixth, one response may be to only meet the specs, nothing more. 7. Another response may involve bidding to meet the specs with separately priced upgrades that the buyer may purchase. 8. Double discounting for price increases. The buyers may want volume discount percentage to also apply to price increase. 9. A response may be to implement the price increase in stages. 10. Discounting for volume. A buyer may offer an incremental volume increase in return for a price discount, but the price discount is to apply to total volume, not just incremental volume. 11. A response may be to offer concessions on only the incremental volume. And last but not the least, discounting to compensate for past failures. Buyers want our price concessions to offset our previous failure. So how do buyers negotiate the price? There are 6 types of how do buyers negotiates the price. First is anchoring, second is backback, third sticker shock, fourth cherry picking, fifth pencil sharpening, sixth going gone. So for the first negotiation process or negotiation type is anchoring. The buyer suggests a target price to anchor the bargaining range. So with this tactic, the buyer shares a target price such as a budget cap to anchor the bargaining range. This is when the buyer says, "We're looking to spend no more than 1,000 pesos for this." So by understanding what their possible alternatives are, as well as as a seller, don't just drop your price because they set the anchor. Always remember, being willing to walk is one of the most powerful things you can do in negotiation. So second one is the whack back. The buyer pushes back on the first price offered. This is one of the most common buyer tactics, to always push back on the first price offered. For example, "Your price is too high." This is the buyer's first phrase no matter what it is when you tell them for the first time. There are times that money objections aren't truly about money at all. The buyers says those words because they knew that it works to start for negotiations. Well, as a seller, you can usually come up with ideas to build value without lowering your price. For the third one is sticker shock. The sticker shock is when the buyer appears to be shocked or stumped by the price given or that you've offered. It could be an orchestrated reaction rather than genuine surprise. So, in this type of price pushback situation, the buyer usually says, "How much was it again?" Or, "It cost how much?" As if repeating the question again as if she or he was shocked. Well, in that case, it is important for you to help buyers understand the positive impact of your solution that will have on them so they can justify the investment. The fourth one is cherry picking. The cherry picking is when the buyer unbundles a solution in order to gain concessions. Well, in this scenario, the buyer has tried to show a solution to gain concessions and assumed the unit price will stay the same. For example, when the buyer says, "I know I told you our initial order would be 5,000 units with 5 components, but we will just need 500 units and 2 components at first. I did the division, so the price should be blah 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 blah," and so on and so forth. As a seller, you must address the issue head on because this may seem to come up of a new terms formed from nowhere, and nothing can be done. But remember, you really don't have to accept the changed terms just because they changed them. You are the seller, so you have the right to discuss to work out appropriate pricing. For the fifth one is pencil sharpening. Pencil sharpening is when the buyer primes the seller into accepting a price drop. So this is a common pushback tactic to get you ready to drop your price because it's expected. Sometimes, the buyer offers to close the negotiation at a lower price for a period of time until value is established. For example, the buyer says, "You're going to have to do better than this. We need to get it for less." Don't let them control you or any of your prices. Instead, hold your ground and focus on what makes your solution the best choice. Get ready to bargain and be ready to trade, not cave. So for the last and not the least is gone. The buyer creates a sense of urgency, even threatening to leave entirely. This tactic uses time pressure to get the seller to lower the price. For example, the buyer says, "I will give it to another shop by noon if you don't make it this concession." The buyer pressures the seller so that they will have no choice but to lower their price. But instead lowering it directly, just be cool and don't panic. And take some time to think because there are times that they are just bluffing to get the price that they want. So, there are 10 rules of negotiations. So, the first one is don't negotiate unless you need to. It is necessary to not negotiate unless you really need it to. If you can afford it, you can buy it, and if you can't, then you will have to settle for a more affordable price, like negotiating it or asking for a discount. Not everyone realizes this, particularly in buying and selling situations. The second rule is never negotiate with yourself. Always make the other party do it first. Negotiation with yourself means that you will never get what you are trying to achieve. For the third rule is never accept their first offer. Never accept their first offer because there are always a better offer behind it. Fourth, never make the first offer. If you can avoid it as much as possible. Salespeople often think that making the first offer is unavoidable, but it is not. You can still avoid it anytime or sometimes. However, there may be a time when you can gain an advantage in a win-win negotiation without making the first offer. Fifth rule is listen more and talk less. You have two ears, two eyes, and one mouth. Use them in that proportion in negotiation. You have to listen more and talk less, like you have to listen to what he has to say or she has to say, and then ask for questions and then listen to them again, so that you can gain more information for your negotiation process so that you can have or you can achieve your goal. For the sixth rule is never give free gifts. Free gifts can seriously weaken your position in negotiation, as a free gift today becomes tomorrow's starting point. So you will always be starting further behind after giving a free gift. Number 7. Always watch for the salami. The salami is almost like rule number 2. Don't negotiate with yourself. But it is a little bit more detailed. The client will look at your proposal as if you have or if you have salamied yourself, they can see how it is broken down or sliced up. This is where your analogy comes from, as it is like slicing a salami. In this rule, they can the client that will look at your proposal will surely see on how you broke down your proposal or how you narrow it down. Rule number 8. Don't fall for the rookie's regret. This rule relates to the repentant rookie. We have all felt that we have all felt like this regardless of how long we have been buying or selling. This is when we think of what happens when we walk away after the deal has been done. Rule number 9. Always avoid the quick deal. The reason the other negotiator will speed things up and go for the quick deal is usually that they have seen a mistake you have made and they want you to make sure that you sign your name to this mistake. Rule number 10. This is the last rule. Never reveal what your bottom line is or was. This rule may sound obvious and even a bit of a rookie mistake, but at some point you may get caught doing this. So you have to stay on guard always and never let the client or the seller that you are having negotiation with know what your real intention is. So that would be all for this video. Thank you for listening.